Hello Year 12s. I'm going to show you I guess a cheat way of making this really quickly. It's going to look really good in your folios. If you haven't been a fan of Fusion in the past, I'd suggest just keeping an open mind, watching this video through and seeing if you think you're capable of doing this. I'm going to show you in the PowerPoint. This is a project which is like a Year 11 park bench. Some of you might have done it. If you look at the three technical drawings that I've got an assembly drawing of the complete assembly. I've got an exploded view with all my parts listed, and I've also got a technical drawing with all the parts and the sizes they need. If you want to do well at Year 12, you're going to need to have this in your folio. The last thing I'll show you is a picture of or a presentation technique where we can get these to animate. So if you do a quick model in Fusion, you'll be able to animate and put some pretty cool animations and 3D work into your PowerPoint presentations. Firstly, we're going to have to think about how our construction method is. So here you can see I've rebaited in the ends of my end panels. You can see that there. If I look at my other project, I've done this as particle board. So it's particle board with an edge design here. So if I turn off that edge material, you can see there's like a rebate here. Actually, I've done it a little bit different. I would have put the edging on and then I've stuck the two pieces together. So you have to decide on your method of construction first. Have a chat to your teachers and work that out before you start modeling, because it's wasting your time otherwise. You can see this model. I've got the drawer working on it. You don't need to go that far. Let's think about the carcass first and maybe the metal legs. And this is my other project. This one, like I said, we're going to ignore the drawers at this stage, and we're looking at the rebates and where they are. So like I said, there's a really easy way of doing this. If I have a look at my first sketch here, most of my work is done in the first sketch. Zoom in, you can see that all my parts are here, all the overlaps are here, and I extrude all my components from this section. So you get a really quick idea of how this is built. I'm going to illuminate that sketch that I was just showing you. That's this one here. And I'm going to press the play button, and you can see how I've created this. So the sketch, and then I've created each component from that sketch. I'll show you in detail how that's done in a second. I'm going to create a new component. It comes in as untitled, and you need to do a quick save. So call mine test cabinet. I'm going to create that first sketch, and I want it to be on the front plane. I'm going to create a rectangle of the overall size of my project. So I'm going to go 1.2 meters by 500 high. Please measure, don't just copy. You can make it your own measurements. Now I'm going to use the offset tool, and the materials thickness that we use in the workshop is quite often at 19. It might be that you have to thickness that down later. So we could say 18 or 17. Depends what you think is appropriate for your project. But we can't make it 20, because if it was 20, we would have to make it out of really thick material and thickness it down. So we've got that part sorted. Now I'm going to put the center shelf in, and I'm going to come and just randomly in here, click in there and cruise across to this side and do the same here. I don't want that snapped to anything at the moment, so avoid snapping it. You need to have it floating in the middle. I'm going to make this the same thickness as what I did before. So click the two lines and then place the measurement. And I'm going to click this 17 here. You can see that references this, which means it's going to be fixed at 17. You're going to have to decide how far you're going to go in here. So we could do 17 divided by 2 if you want to go directly in half. So that would be the rebate that's in the shelf. And I can click on this one to drive the other side. So that's all locked in. All we need to do is work out what size gap we need between our shelf and the bottom, or the shelf and the top. So Maybe that's more important to me, and maybe I need that to be 250 for my drawer that's going to sit underneath. So I've got my shelf, I've got my kind of overall size. Now let's have a think about what goes in next. I finished the sketch. I'm going to reopen the sketch, so make sure it's all in one sketch, the whole thing. Zooming in, and we need to kind of determine what we're going to do up here as the side joins the top. So let's zoom in and draw this one. .5, and we're going to do that on every corner. So I did the same here and here. I just paused the video for a second, so continue with that. My center shelves, I'm not going to do a rebate. What I would do is, if I was going to do this, I'd screw it from the bottom, and I'd probably just glue it to the top, and then screw this one to the bottom and glue it to the top. So make sure this is the same as all your other thickness materials. And I use the, let me think, parallel constraint to make sure they're in line. They are already parallel, so we're going to make it collinear. That makes them lined up. And we'll need to find the center of this. So just having a moment here, if it was 600, and we are going to minus 17 off one side, so minus 17, and then we're going to minus 8.5, that's half the center. This is how I tend to work in Fusion, because my math skills aren't fantastic, so it's nice that you can type in. This one here is going to be driven, so it gives us an error. We click OK, and you can see it's in brackets, but it's the same. You'll need to make some adjustments if not. So I've just created one sketch with all our information in it for our carcass construction. I'm going to finish that sketch, and that's ready to extrude. Let's click the extrude button. Now this is where I would like you to have a very close look at this here. We're going to change the new body to new component. This is really important. We're going to go to the home view. We're going to click the top. Let's start at the bottom panel actually. And we're going to drag that out to the width that you want this. So let's say we're doing 450 wide or 400. Don't make it too deep. You don't want to create too much or lose too much space in your house. So 400, that sounds pretty good to me. It's got the new component here. So if it wasn't new component when we did the extrusion, it wouldn't have come up as a new component here. Let's call this bottom. Now, can you please be extra careful naming these? Make sure it's got a capital for each. It's going to be important later. You don't want to have to come back to do that. Now, if I go into sketches, open this sketch and make this visible with the eyeball, it creates, shows our sketch, and we can continue to go extrude new component every time. Click on this one, drag it forward, make it the same size as our last one, and we're going to continue. So you can see this one here is here. We're going to call it top and enter. $400. See how I've got it joined there? Don't click OK until it's a new component. And that's going to be my right. And continue to do that for all the components. When you get to the shelf, it's really important that you click all those profiles. There's a couple of extras there, so it extrudes in these sections as well. So I've named all my components. I've decided I actually want this one here, the divider upper, to be a little bit shorter. So I can go back in here and double click. Instead of making this 400, I'm going to make it 300. And if I rotate that around, we'll make this the front view. And you can see this would allow for maybe a sound bar or something to go in there. So maybe we're on even less, 250. Alright, so you can see pretty quickly that becomes a project. We can hide that sketch that we showed before. We can right click and we can set the physical material, which is this one. Doesn't matter which one you do it to first. I'm going to scroll down to wood and then click it, scroll down again. We're using radiata pine, if I can say it. So you can see that's the pine. Now the grain is running the wrong way, so I'm going to come up here and double click and go into the advanced settings, appearance, double click the image, or single click actually, and I'm going to rotate that image until it is pointing the right direction, so we want it that way. Done, apply and OK and cancel, and it's pointing the right way. Now I can pull these into every component. I'm not sure if it's going to be the right way for this shelves, but that's okay. No, it all looks good. We'll save that one, and you've already got your project. I'm not going to show you how to do the legs right now. If you want to refer to the metalwork video, I'll make that available to you too. If I wanted to do a back on this, I'm going to click up the top and go right click, new component. We'll call this one back and click OK. And you can see it's come down here and it's already active. We'll click the sketch button. We'll sketch on this side component. And then we'll come down here and we'll draw the back. The back's simply going to be nailed on, glued and nailed on, and it's going to cover these components here. So I'm going to do mine 483 by 1184. You might want to measure up a little bit more accurate, but that will cover half of the material thickness on the back. Extrude. Just make sure you select this extra profile down here. There's 3 profiles. I think it is ready to go. We use 3mm plywood for this, and because we are already in this component, it can just be new body here, not new component, so that's different this time. We can put the material selection on that too. You can see the plywood's probably running the wrong way for that, but it'll do for now. Reactivate your main component up the top, and we have got a project ready to go. Please refer to the metalwork videos. I'll give you a link to them to how to produce the technical drawings. Really quickly on producing these renderings, I'll show you how to do that. If we save the complete model up here as a mesh and then choose STL, binary, click OK. Make sure you know where you are saving that, so click save on that one. Now I'm going to just click and drag that into the project and it will appear here. You'll need to go to the animation tab and do turntable, have a look at the different animations, but that will get that going in PowerPoint. The other animation is in animation here. We need to pull this project apart, so start with the bar at the end here and delete, get your work in the position you want it to be in. Work through the video tutorial that I've saved with the metalwork so it will blow apart. Publish your video, so follow the prompts here, click OK, and then you can import it into PowerPoint into the by importing the video. You can also click and drag and drop the video.